You've probably heard the phrase, to catch a criminal, you have to think like one. Well, today, we're diving into the world of professionals who do exactly that, but for a good cause. We're talking about ethical hackers, and we're going to break down their playbook for what's called penetration testing. Basically, how they find security holes before the bad guys do.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get into why this kind of hacking is so important. Then, we'll walk through the 5-phase playbook these pros use every time. After that, we'll explore each of those phases, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with a really cool case study to see how it works in the real world.
So what's the big idea here? Well, at its core, penetration testing is about using hacking skills for defense. It's about building a better, stronger wall by finding out where the weak spots are.
I mean, this is the question, isn't it? It's what keeps security professionals up at night. Cyber attacks are getting more sophisticated all the time, so companies can't afford to just sit around and wait to get hit. They have to be proactive. They need to find their own weaknesses first.
And that's where a penetration test, or a pen test for short, comes in. Think of it as a fire drill for a company's digital security. It's a completely legal, authorized, and professional service where a company actually hires hackers to attack them. The goal isn't to do damage, of course. It's to find those weak spots so they can be fixed before a real attacker gets there.
Now, this isn't just a free-for-all. It's not about randomly mashing keys and hoping for the best. The whole process is incredibly structured, and it's broken down into a 5-phase playbook that makes sure every angle is covered.
And these are the 5 stages every single professional pen test follows. You've got planning, discovery, attack, verification, and finally, reporting. Each step builds on the last one, and each one has its own clear goals. So let's break them down, one by one.
All right, phase 1, planning. You know, every successful mission starts with a good plan, and this is probably the most critical part of the whole process. This is where the testers and the client get on the same page about everything before the test actually begins.
A huge piece of the planning phase is setting what they call the rules of engagement. And a big question is, how much information do the testers get up front? If it's a black box test, they get nothing, zero inside info. This simulates an attack from a total outsider. On the other end of the spectrum is a white box test, where they get everything, source code, network maps, you name it. This simulates a threat from an insider or helps with a deep dive audit. And then there's gray box, which is somewhere in the middle. Maybe they get a user login, simulating what a regular employee could do.
Okay, so the plan is set. The rules are clear. Now the test goes live. This is where we get into the next 2 phases, which are really the heart of the action, discovery and attack. First, you look. Then you leap.
Phase 2, discovery, is basically the reconnaissance stage. You can think of it like an old school movie heist, you know? It's casing the joint. The hackers aren't actually attacking anything just yet. Instead, they are meticulously scanning and probing the target, looking for any open doors, unlocked windows, or potential weak spots.
And they have a whole bag of tricks for this. They use something called OSINT, that's open source intelligence, which means digging through public data to learn about the company. They run port scanners to find any unlocked digital doorways into the network. They might use packet sniffers to kind of eavesdrop on network traffic. And they'll even do social engineering tests, like sending a fake phishing email to see if an employee will accidentally let them in.
So once they've mapped out all those potential weaknesses from the discovery phase, it's time to move on to phase 3. The attack. This is where the gloves come off, and they actively try to exploit the vulnerabilities they've found to gain access to the system.
Now, really sophisticated attacks are rarely just one and done. Instead, the best testers use a technique called vulnerability chaining. It's like a domino effect. They find one small crack to get a foothold, then use that access to find a second, bigger crack, moving deeper and deeper into the system. For instance, a small software bug might let them install a keylogger. That keylogger could then capture an admin's password, and boom, that password unlocks the entire customer database.
But just getting inside isn't the end of the story. The job is far from over. Now we get to the final 2 phases, and honestly, this is where the real value is delivered to the client. We're talking about verification and reporting.
This is where that ethical part of ethical hacking really shines. Before they do anything else, the testers have to perform a meticulous cleanup. They have to remove every tool they used, any backdoors they created, and basically return the system to exactly how they found it. A true professional leaves no trace.
And then comes the grand finale, the report. And let me tell you, this isn't just a list of everything that's broken. It's a detailed blueprint for the company's security team. It shows them the vulnerabilities, explains exactly how they were exploited, and, this is the most important part, gives them clear, actionable steps to fix everything and build a much stronger defense.
All right, theory is great, but let's see how this all comes together in practice.
We're going to walk through a quick case study where a security firm was hired to test a big online gaming platform.
Okay, so first up, planning. They worked with the gaming company to define the scope, what was on the table and what wasn't. Next, discovery. Their scans immediately flagged an outdated server and a login form that looked a little sketchy. That brought them to the attack. They used a classic technique called SQL injection on that weak login form, which let them trick the database into giving up user account info. From there, verification. They pivoted to that outdated server to gain more privileges, proving they could move around and get to sensitive data like transaction records. And finally, the report. They handed over a detailed document showing the company exactly how to patch these holes before a real hacker found them.
So when you boil it all down, penetration testing isn't really about breaking things. It's about finding what's already broken so that it can be fixed. It's an absolutely essential security practice that protects the digital world we all live in. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? In all the complex systems we use every day, what other vulnerabilities are just hiding there, in plain sight?